The Lord in the Bhagavad Gita says a yogi is greater than people who practice austerities. Yogi is considered even higher than mere people having knowledge, jnanis. The yogi is considered higher than people who are active, karmas. Therefore, O Arjuna, be thou a yogi. Orienting ourselves to meditation. In the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, in the original, you find a word used often. Sri Ramakrishna, in the word used is Samadhi Mandir. That is, Sri Ramakrishna has entered into the inner shrine or the temple of Samadhi. Samadhi and Mandir, the shrine of Samadhi. So, what is Samadhi? Samadhi is but yoga. This is clearly defined in the yoga aphorisms of Patanjali. Samadhi means yoga. And what is yoga? Concentration, intense concentration. So we don't need to have any kind of illusions about these words. So Samadhi means yoga, or yoga means Samadhi. And the word yoga itself is intense concentration. Okay. Now, once you get this idea that intense concentration is yoga, you need to now orient yourself towards this. It's obvious that when we concentrate, there are so many obstacles that come. It's very easy to concentrate on things outside of us. It's much easier. You can concentrate on a chess game, on a tennis match, on a football game. You can concentrate on work. It is much easier to concentrate outside. That's because we are oriented, and it's been a very, very long time. We are oriented to concentrate outside. But in the processes of yoga concentration, you have to concentrate inside. So there's a clear distinction between one who concentrates, the act of concentration, and the object of concentration. Ordinarily, like I mentioned, it is much easier to concentrate on the external world, subject and object. Now, this external world is vast. So in the Yoga Sutras or in the yoga philosophy, they have these three distinctions. The subject is called the knower, the act of knowing, and the object of knowledge. Every concentration brings us knowledge. If you don't concentrate, you don't get knowledge. If you're concentrating and if you don't get knowledge, there's something wrong with your concentration. Okay. Inevitable. In work also, we find the more we can apply our mind to a particular work or to a play or to playing a musical instrument or singing, whatever, it enhances the quality of your activity or your play or your singing or whatever. You do things in a very desultory manner and it's not going to touch people's heart. It's not going to touch your heart also. You come away dissatisfied, unfulfilled. So in every act of concentration, there is a knower, the process of knowledge, and the object of knowledge. In the Yoga Sutras, it is mentioned that the commentaries on Yoga Sutras is these three are distinct entities, distinct processes that, though linked, are yet kind of so far away and so distant, so improperly understood. It gives us that, you can say, that idea that the whole thing is mixed up and it's one. No, it's exactly all three separate things. Okay. So to clarify this object of knowledge, for the time being, we can look at it as an external object of knowledge. An external object of knowledge also is perceived inside. So this external object of knowledge exists in space. Now, what is this space? It is what is called saying everything, every object has to have a place. It is situated in space and in time. Now, this is called Maha-Akash, the great space, which is external. Remember that this space is not only just near you. This whole universe exists in space. Anything that exists as objective reality has to exist within space and within time. Now, when you look at space, this space obviously is not uniform. The topography of the space. In fact, even Einstein got this idea of a convoluted or a space-time which has kind of indentations and movements, came from viewing from a high watchtower or a water tower, the town below and the landscape. So when he viewed the landscape, the hills and the dales and the valleys and the houses, he got a flash of intuition that even space also has to have such, you can say, topography. So this external space, it's called Maha-Akash, great space. It's external. And everything that you can see and imagine and think of as an object exists in this space. There is, however, another space, according to the yogis, which is called Chitta Akash, Chittakash, the mind space. Like you have a physical space which is extensive, you have something called the cosmic mind, and our minds are part of that cosmic mind. So this mind space, Chitta and Akash, is also very, very vast as this external universe. So in this internal world of the mind, there is also a topography. Our thoughts, our desires, our wills, our feelings, all our sensations and everything occur in the Chittakash. There is also, in Vedanta, there is still another space which is called knowledge space, Chid and Akash. So every knowledge that flashes in the human, you can say, or in any being that has a mind and lives in a space, flashes into consciousness, through consciousness, by consciousness, The consciousness is foundational. So you have the consciousness space, you have something called the mind space, and you have something called the external space. Now, once you understand this, the object of meditation always falls in the external space, Maha-Akash. The process of meditation falls into the mind space, the processes of meditation. And the knowledge that comes through this concentration falls into the consciousness space, Chid Akash. So even consciousness has a topography. We are at the very basic level of that consciousness space. If you go deeper and deeper and deeper, you'll find huge, you can say, dimensions of that consciousness space. That's called Chid and Akash. Chit is consciousness, consciousness space. So there's a topography in all the three: the external space, the mind space or internal space, and the extremely internal space called the knowledge space. This is used also in the yoga philosophy as one who meditates, the process of meditation and the object of meditation. Dhyatri, dhyana, and dheya. Dheya is the object of meditation. Dhyana is the process of meditation or the processes of meditation. And Dhyatri is the one who meditates. The subject is always the conscious subject. Now, when you have this distinction, how do we bring all these together? The act of meditation, dhyana, always brings jnana. It's inevitable. Every time you meditate, you must come away from meditation with knowledge. If you don't get any kind of knowledge during this process, then there's something wrong with your meditation. So every act of meditation is a process also of knowledge. So as you meditate, what happens is you are supposed now to fuse the external space, the internal space, and the person who knows. So closer home, the body is situated in external space. The body can be taken as an object. The mind is taken as a process of meditation, and consciousness, the subject you, is taken as the person who meditates or knows. And these three things have to be kind of slowly fused together. It is more like a process of integration. When we keep on doing that, what happens is there is something called in the Yoga Sutras as samapatti, absorption. You get absorbed. It's like a crystal or a mirror, for that example. The Yoga Sutra uses the analogy of a crystal. When a crystal is crystal clear, and you bring any object in front of it, that object is perfectly revealed, perfectly reflected. So when the body, the mind, and the conscious subject is perfectly aligned, you are actually now meditating. You are absorbed. The reason why a meditation sometimes becomes not fruitful is because of this non-orientation or non-integration. Now, how does that happen? It happens through three other things. There is always, with every word, every sound is nothing but a word. Every word is nothing but a sound. So that sound or word evokes an idea. And this idea is called a meaning. And with that flash of the meaning arises knowledge. Okay. Let me put it again together. Every sound or every word or every articulate sound or even inarticulate sound, it doesn't matter, always is associated with an idea. That is called the meaning of that sound. There is an invariable, you can say, connection between sound and idea, or word and idea. And then there is a flash of knowledge. So these three things, shabda, sound or word, artha, idea or meaning, and the resultant knowledge, jnana. The shabda and artha and jnana. Okay. You can see where I'm leading to. I'm getting more and more, you can say, fine-tuning this idea of these three principal, you can say, entities: external, internal, and further inside, which is called the consciousness. So Patanjali in his aphorisms says, every word, every japa has to be associated with the meaning. When you do japa, that is japa, when the meaning of the word is dwelt upon. Okay. So suppose I say table. The very word table evokes an image or an abstract concept in your mind. This is called name and form, nama and rupa. These always will be associated together. You just can't separate just the name and the form. The form might be abstract, doesn't matter, but it evokes an idea and the resultant name. Now, where are all these things situated? These things, as I mentioned, are all situated in these three kind of divisions: external space, the mind space, and consciousness space. Remember, there is a huge topography. There are many things in the mind. What is the topography of the mind made of? Your impressions, your thoughts. Everything that you ever thought, did, worked, imagined, makes a kind of an indentation on this surface of the mind. Consciousness is aware of this topography, and it has to maneuver itself through these sometimes mazes in order to understand the real meaning of what has emerged from outside in. Now let's get closer home. As I said, the body can be considered an object, and that object is always in the external space. This is called a Maha Akash, the great space. You know the body because it is an object. So the mind space and consciousness space is inevitably inside. So in Vedanta, they say the gross body And then you have something called also the subtle and the causal body. And then you have something called the consciousness. So every act of meditation involves this consciousness, your subtle body, and your gross body. I think this is clear. Now, in order to enter into the, as I mentioned, Sri Ramakrishna's gospel says, uses the word samadhi mandire, entering into the shrine of samadhi, entering into the inner shrine of consciousness. The first thing that you need to do is keep your body perfectly still. In meditation, as you meditate, don't go on looking around. As the Bhagavad Gita also says, don't look around. Keep your head, neck, and your chest in a straight line. Don't look around. The very act of being perfectly still stills all the forces that are working in the body, which is called prana. Prana then becomes rhythmic. It becomes non-rhythmic because of our various activities, our digestion, our respiration, and this and that, and all these things make the prana disturbed. So as the body is perfectly still, when you sit down for meditation, whether it's for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever, try to be perfectly still. And as you keep on doing that, you will find your breathing becomes slower. You don't need to breathe very hard. You need very little breath. Your breath, as it were, is becoming more and more subtle. As the breath becomes more and more regulated and slow and subtle, it also means the mind also, the process of meditation also is becoming more and more regulated. See, the mind and the breath is always linked. When you are angry, watch your breath. It is like a fast bellows. When you're calm, your mind also, your breath also becomes calm. When you're agitated, when you're angry, every activity of the body is linked to the breath. The breath is, as it were, the connecting link between the external body and the internal mind. Okay. So keep the body perfectly still, and the connecting link of this prana, or the vital force, then becomes perfectly regulated, and then it becomes still. As it becomes still, the mind also loses its restlessness. And as the process becomes deeper and deeper and deeper, in this case, in every act of meditation, many people would like to meditate on, you can say, an object. There are two types of objects of meditation. All the forms of gods and goddesses, name and form. What happens when you take a name and form for meditation? This name and form of meditation is now transforming the subject also. If you think of divine things, it will awaken your own divinity. The process also of thinking of the divinity, the act of concentration, purifies the mind. There is a kind of a fusing that is coming. The object of meditation the subject of meditation and the links, the processes, they all come together. It's called Dhyatri, Dhyana, Dhya. They come together closer and closer and closer. If you remember, I spoke about samapatti, absorption. Now this subject keeps on reflecting this object. And if the object is perfectly concentrated upon, it becomes still. And as it becomes still, it becomes more and more luminous. And as it becomes more and more luminous, it becomes more and more alive. This is transmitted to the subject. The subject also is now absorbed in this process of meditation. In the puja, you can say vidhi, that is while we're doing puja, one of the principles is to worship God, one has to become God. So Devo Bhutva Devam Yajet, it's called. So to awaken that consciousness, the deeper layers of consciousness which are there, we have to take a divine object. The Yoga Sutras, however, they are ambivalent about any object. You can concentrate on any object. But in concentration, in regular, you can say traditional practices, the best way is to think or meditate on a divine object. The object might be Shiva or Durga or Kali or Ramakrishna or Sharda or anything. This concentration on this object will transform the mind, the inner space, and also transform the consciousness. There is a new topography being created now in the mind, and that done over and over and over again creates a kind of a groove, an impression, a samskara. You are, by your very practices, changing the topography of your mind, which is extremely important. The mind itself has got various layers of subconsciousness. The Yoga Sutras don't recommend you going down into the subconscious to control it. What you do is you can transform your subconscious by doing things consciously on the conscious plane. When you suppose, Swami Vivekananda gives an example of a child who's playing a piano. As she keeps on playing the piano, what happens is her conscious playing goes down in the subconscious mind and forms impressions. These becomes habit. So as she keeps on playing over and over and over and again, she becomes habituated. A strong stream of impressions is formed. Then later on, she can even look around and even play. So the conscious and the subconscious mind has become aligned. In every concentration, this is what needs to be done. The more you can think of Ramakrishna, Vivekananda, Holy Mother, or any Buddha or Christ or any, your conscious and subconscious minds become aligned. This is extremely important because you are now changing the topography of your internal world. You are not so much concerned with the external world. Your body is just perfectly still. Only later on you will find that the topography of your body also has changed internally. Your face reflects that calmness. Your voice becomes sweet. You become more compassionate. You become loving. Your actions are all controlled. So your external topography also is changing. Your internal topography also is changing. And the topography of your consciousness is also undergoing a radical change. Now, that which was meditated upon as objective, that I am meditating on the form of God. Okay, this is clear. As this object, the meditation on God, and the subject, as they come closer and closer, there is a kind of an absorption. At one point of time, that which was objective is now merged into the subjective. The subject and the object cannot be extricated during that time. This is called perfect absorption, which is called samadhi. Okay. Now, this is what is meant by Sri Ramakrishna in the gospel: enter into the inner shrine, samadhi. When we go to a temple, we pray. Yes, it is still an objective, you can say, deity or an image of God. We have not become one with it. As you keep on praying, singing, worshiping, you are slowly being identified with that deity. And as you meditate, you get more and more identified with it. This identification is extremely important. There is a kind of an alignment, there is an integration, and as you both merge, the subject and the object, what happens is the processes that join the subject and the object becomes more and more finer and finer and finer. It's like, they say the distance between the subject and the object is reduced gradually. The more you meditate, the more this is, till that time when there is no movement of the mind at all. In the deepest concentration, you are not aware of your body. Ordinarily also, you find when you are absorbed in any task, you're not aware of many things. Swami Vivekananda says, when you are reading a book, you won't even hear the carriages roll down the streets. You're so absorbed. You, as it were, are concentrated. You're at a point. This is what is called yoga. This is what is called samadhi. This is what is called, say, absorption. So this yoga, samadhi, concentration, etc. are one. So this is the only way to unlock the secrets of the universe. Concentration, internal concentration. And the more you can hold that image firmly. Now, many people find great difficulty in holding that image within their minds for a length of time. I recommend to many people, open your eyes, look at the picture of the object to be meditated upon intensely. It's called prataka. Keep it at eye level, at arm's length. Then close your eyes and see that image in your mind. As it slightly begins to fade, once again open your eyes, once again look at that image, the picture of the image, and then close your eyes and again see that mental image inside. Become aware of this. It's a very powerful tool to develop concentration. People close their eyes and let their mind wander. No, Please don't do that. You're supposed to concentrate. And when you are concentrating, if you can employ a mantra, and the mantra, as we have seen, is always associated with a deity. Take, for instance, Ramakrishna, the name Ramakrishna and the form Ramakrishna. And there you have, even if you don't have a proper mantra, you can just chant Ramakrishna, Ramakrishna, Ramakrishna. So that external sound Ramakrishna evokes the internal meaning of Ramakrishna as an incarnation of God, and that knowledge of what really an incarnation is will flash in your mind. So concentrate, it's called Trataka, through, you can say, don't strain your eyes when you do that external concentration. Try to dismiss every other object. Just focus your eyes on the image. After a few seconds or minute, close your eyes, watch that. Slowly, you will be able to dispense the external image altogether. The moment you close your eyes, you will see that image now radiant, sharp and distinct. And as you keep on concentrating more and more, that image will become, as Swami Sharadananda in his divine Sri Ramakrishna and his divine play mentions, that it becomes alive. How does it? Because you are concentrating on it, you are the subject, you are the conscious subject. And that consciousness is transforming that object. No longer is that object now simply an image, like if I say there's an image of an apple in your mind, or a mango, or a computer, or a smartphone. These are just images, but the image of meditation has become alive. And then as you keep on meditating, you see there's a great love develop. When you concentrate on a particular thing, love develops. Or through love, you can concentrate. Remember this, concentration succeeds where there is love. If you love a particular thing, you can concentrate on it, you can devote your time and life for it. If you don't love the particular thing, an object, you're not going to pay any attention to it. So as you concentrate, a love develops, or there's a love already there for God and for God's name. You keep on developing this. Love develops, concentration develops. Both these things happen simultaneously. And then the whole transformation is being taking place now inside you. This is the processes of meditation that happens in the space called the mind, Chittakash. As that Chittakash gets transformed, your body, which is in the external space, also now is getting transformed. You will look at people with kindly eyes. You will not be dismissive. You will understand the motives of people. You will become more compassionate. You will be more caring. Trees and plants, etc., will be seen in a newer light. You will see them alive. So this internal meditation is transforming this external space around you. It is transforming this internal space around you. And most important, it is transforming you, the subject. Because as I mentioned, this Chid Akash, consciousness space also is now becoming transformed. How does it become transformed? First is, it expands. It expands into higher and higher and higher dimensions. You will be able to understand higher and higher aspects of your own self. You thought you were only so and so, doing so and so things related to so and so things. That will seem childish. You have greater dimensions there within you that are still unexplored. Those dimensions will open up. So your whole life is going to radically change. Of course, I'm using the word radical, but then the process is gradual. But it's a sure process, a perfect process. And as you keep on doing that, you will be able to transform also others. Your consciousness, your mind, and your body will be transformed. The whole topography of your life and mind and your consciousness is all going to change. This is orienting ourselves towards meditation. And this is a slow process. So I started with the person who knows the processes of knowledge and the object of knowledge always. These will become, as it were, purified. It's always, when you want to transform anything, you put it into a kind of a purificatory process. You either clean it or you wash it or you put it into fire and you smelt it down and recombine it, take out all the impurities. This loving concentration on an object, divine object, completely transforms you. And as that transformation takes place, you might see that a transformation is taking place gradually. This is called gradual awakening. People want to be enlightened, and it doesn't happen at one point of time. They forget that there was a long processes behind it. When I see a tennis player hitting with a racket, the tennis ball, I say, what a wonderful return or what a wonderful serve. But behind that, there has been at least 100,000 times that the tennis player has hit that ball like that. We don't see that 100,000 times. So similarly, enlightenment or awakening happens after a long process. But do I have to meditate 100,000 times? Yeah, who knows? But concentration compresses time. If you notice, if you can do a particular task which takes 10 minutes in a kind of unconcentrated or desultory way, you're not paying attention. But if you do that same task with concentration, it will take 1 minute. People complain of, we don't have any time. That's now become a new mantra. Of course, it's an old mantra. I don't have time, I'm busy. I don't have time, I'm busy. Well, those people who say that, it implies that they are not concentrated. A person who is concentrated will always find time, will always do things rightly. So that internal concentration that you do is going to help you externally also. And as you keep on concentrating, you reduce time and you reduce space also. That's how time and space are linked. So as you keep on concentrating, the space is reduced. The space in your mind also is reduced. And consciousness is focused on one small point. And this is the great fusing of the three entities, known entities of meditation, concentration. So every time you sit down, make a diligent effort to concentrate. You go in for quality, not quantity. Don't sit down for hours and doing nothing there. So go in for quality. That's what the yoga commentators say. Have that quality time, quality meditating time, and then slowly increase it. From 10 minutes, it becomes 12, and then to 15 and 20. Gradually, as your capacity grows, you will find a great change. The first change that you will find is, Swami Vivekananda says, you can hear the sound of your nadis. It's called a nada. Nada is sound. That's what those channels convey. That's why they're called nadis. The first thing you will understand is, you will perceive is a sound in your body. Then you will know that your body has become purified. It's getting concentrated. You're ready for concentration. But don't wait for that sound to happen. Keep on meditating and meditating and meditating, and you will see the results happening straight up. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.
Swami, thank you. That was a beautiful talk. We do have a question. Do you have time for that?
Oh, yes.
Can you please speak to the sacred center in the heart, the Hridaya Akasha, where the mind is placed in the heart?
Yes. Now remember, the heart, it's not meant the physical heart. There is within the subtle body these centers of consciousness. The heart center is important here. The heart means the core of your being. It is described in various ways as a circle chakra or as a lotus. There is also mentioned, the heart is mentioned as Chid Akash. There is a space within the heart which is infinite. This is being described in one of the Upanishads called the Chandogya Upanishad. The whole thing is to enter into your core, enter into your heart, and enter into that vast space. And in that vast space, the whole universe floats like a small bubble. This entire universe, which is all constantly expanding, which is about 13.7 or 8 or whatever billion years, this known universe appears like a small bubble in the Akash, the space of your heart. So this space within the heart is infinite. That space is consciousness, it's infinite. So the location, the physical location is, it is just beneath your breastbone. Where the breastbone, there's a small dip here between the rib cage and where the breastbone ends. So it is here that you need to concentrate, keep the deity here. And Sri Ramakrishna and Vivekananda, all this, they say the heart is the best place to meditate on. So this is the spiritual heart. When it is awakened, just this center of consciousness, it's like a rocket going off in your chest. Don't worry, it's not going to explode and kill you, but it's a tremendous transformation. It is here also, you can hear the sound of that anahata, the unstruck sound. It is a sound that pervades the whole universe. Okay? It is also called something like the cosmic motor. It is here. And when your consciousness comes here, you can see the world in its subtle forms. No longer will you see this world as gross. Layers after layers of the mind are peeled back, as it were, as you get down deeper and deeper into your heart center. And you will see the universe in its subtle and causal aspects. When the mind is not in the heart center, when it is in the lower center, you will see the world as it is. So it is here that you need to concentrate. What happens? So as you meditate on the deity in the heart, it's very important to keep holding on to that particular center. In case you have difficulty, place your index finger or your thumb on that part. Yes, it's better to have a slight pressure or a slight touch in order for you to fix that center of consciousness. Most of us do not succeed in concentration quickly because our concentration sometimes goes here, sometimes there, sometimes here, sometimes here. So try to fix the object of concentration in the heart. And like Christ says, knock and it shall be opened unto you. It is like that constant knocking, 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 knocking. So the symbology of the heart is, like I said, it's like a lotus, and Swami Vivekananda says, it's like a lotus with its petals spread outside, and inside there is white gold, it's golden light, and the light is bliss, and there's a sound of Om in that. Enter into that. Sri Ramakrishna also says the lotuses, as it were, they are upside down. As you keep on concentrating and as the Sushumna Nadi, the main nerve, opens up, it turns upwards like this. Okay? But don't worry about the symbology. I just want you to hold on to the heart center, and as you go on deeper and deeper, for the time being, don't use the symbology of the lotus or the chakra, the circle. Use Sri Ramakrishna itself as the center of your heart. And if you can concentrate on that, that Ramakrishna will be like a doorway. You know, we see Sri Ramakrishna as with a particular name and particular form. There are dimensions hidden within this particular name and form. This is just an external doorway. It's just a doorway. You enter, open it and enter inside, and you will see higher and higher dimensions of Ramakrishna there within that heart center. So you enter your heart through the image of Ramakrishna, and you get inside deeper and deeper and deeper. Okay. Thank you.